Hello, hello! Editing and vacationing Ben here, if you can't tell by the remote location behind me. And I have two quick announcements before we get started. First of all, my second novel, Expanding Cracks, is available for pre-order. That's incredible! I cannot wait to share this book with the world, and that leads me to the second point. This Saturday, I'll be hosting a live book launch party. Saturday, December 3rd at noon Eastern Time. There will be games, there will be prizes. I will be celebrating and showcasing all things Expanding Cracks, Falling Through, and Into the Void related, and showing and explaining why this series means so much to me and what makes it so special. I really hope to see you there, and I can't wait for this weekend. Now for your regularly scheduled episode where I discuss writing food following the gratuitous amount of food that I had this past weekend for Thanksgiving. Although personally it hasn't happened yet, so this is anticipating that giant meal. Hello, hello. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write, where I give questionable writing advice through running metaphors. For those of us that partook in the fall holiday last week, I hope you enjoyed spending time with your families and relaxing as we ate far too much food. In terms of food, if you thought the tuna mac and cheese with sriracha that I described in Falling Through was an abomination, then I have good news for you. There will be a much sweeter option in the sequel. Side note, I do want to eventually couple together an Authortuber's cookbook involving all of the various foods that we've written into our stories. So if you have any potential entries, please let me know. To celebrate all things food, here are my 6 tips to writing food into our stories. Number 1, use all 5 senses. There are certain foods my wife hates. Tripe, eggs, and gefilte fish are at the top of that list, simply because of their texture. In fact, when she decided to teach herself to eat eggs, she bought a Costco-sized carton and cooked them up dozens of different ways to find one which she found passable. Case in point, the slimy, tough, yet squishy version of a hard-boiled egg was at the bottom of that list. I threw in a sense of touch with those descriptions to give you a better mental image than simply saying hard-boiled egg, or even basic hard-boiled egg. Thanks to my younger days, there are certain smells which make me dislike the food in front of me. I don't gag, but the pine tree / sap scent of gin and many winter meals make me not want to eat or drink whatever is creating that smell. That's 2 of the 5 senses without just describing what the food looks like. There are other meals where I'll be working upstairs and smell the food cooking all day until I am ravenous by dinner time. Or when I'm staying at my family's house, it's the sound of sizzling bacon that gets me to wake up and crawl upstairs from the basement because breakfast is ready. Food is about so much more than what you see or even what you taste. It is an experience. So ignite all the senses and bring the food on the page to life. Number 2, be purple. I don't often say this, but food is one of the few instances where I want a writer to be purple in their prose. Be overly descriptive so I know how a character feels when they're about to sit down and eat. I want the prose to do more than describe. I want it to evoke the best meals of my life. That brings me to my next point. Number 3, don't just make a list. Sure, when I sit at an imaginary table, I could note the variety. From turkey to potatoes, stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, Brussels sprouts, cornbread, shrimp cocktails, sweet potatoes, and stuffing. Now, how many of you glazed over somewhere in there, and how many of you recognize that I repeated myself? Simply going through a list of what's in front of me doesn't do more than convey excess, even in my imagination. Rather than be overwhelmed by an exuberant naming of foods, I prefer to highlight 1 or 2 which interest me most. Maybe I'm looking forward to the creamy butternut squash soup, so I mention the steam rising from my bowl to warm me on this cold day. Maybe I know how my grandma makes her stuffing from scratch with a secret ingredient she will never reveal. That is the prized appetizer my brothers and I fight for every year. Those 2 specific details change a random listing of foods into a personalized meal which can only be found in my home. Number 4, memories. Food is one of the strongest ties to our memories. Every time I eat a perfect brisket, I think about being a kid and spending the weekend at my grandparents' house. Now when I eat fish tacos, no matter how bland, I will always think about going in the Caribbean and spearfishing, and then eating said fish. Also, I have strong memories stirred up when I eat lobsters. It's split between being in Roatan and watching the fishermen come in and then cooking said lobsters for me, and being in Bar Harbor where I watched the fishermen haul up the last lobster crates as they got dangerously close to the rocks, and there was a severe thunderstorm rolling in. As I eat certain foods, it triggers random unique experiences from my past that are linked oddly in my head. What a character thinks about as they eat can show a lot of depth into who they are as a character. So expand on the people we create by giving them the spice and flavors of life. Number 5, Tantalize. As long as the food doesn't detract from the story, or better yet, use it to enhance the story, pull me in so that I wish I were a character enjoying that meal. Make it so mouth-wateringly good that I need to get a snack to hold me over to the end of the chapter. Or, to show a character is suffering misfortune, write the food to be appalling. Show the maggots in the bread which that character is forced to eat for extra protein. Make me vomit at the mold-covered apples the character has to eat because there's nothing else. Like the setting, a meal can become a character, taking a life of its own as the events of the story unfold. There could be a clash as a lavish meal is undercut by having a murderer in the midst. Even as the delicious food lulls the characters with a sense of safety, the detective needs to uncover who the murderer is before everyone leaves and the evidence gets destroyed. And lastly, number 6, convey culture, family dynamics, and background. How do your characters prefer to eat? My family dinners should differ from yours. Am I a petulant child who only wants to eat chicken nuggets where every bite of vegetables is a war of attrition in which my parents eventually give in? Or am I routinely forced to go to my room without dinner because I refuse to bend over eating what's being served? Am I a hungry hippo of a runner whose diet plan takes after the Nintendo character Kirby, in which I inhale everything not bolted to the floor? Meals are perfect places to enrich our stories. It can show a carefree moment as a family is filled with laughter before disaster strikes, or it can be tense as I need to get them to sign my less than favorable report card. Alternatively, the characters can eat like zombies staring at the TV, frequently missing their mouths as they're so absorbed by what's on the glowing box. Meals can illustrate a cause for celebration, devolve into an awkward date, or show us how a friend crashes the status quo and destroys our lives in the wake as they down yet another bottle of wine during dinner. Meals set the mood, and tonight's episode was the starting line for whetting our appetites to make the scenes in which our characters eat more engaging. Those are my 6 tips to writing scrumptious meals into our stories, the kind which readers won't forget. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write. If you enjoyed listening to me talk about writing food, please press those like and subscribe buttons. Let me know in the comments what your favorite written meal has been. Do you agree with my opinions, or is everything I said wrong? I post my running and writing progress on Instagram and Twitter as Running to Write, so be sure to follow me and join in with your own thoughts. Don't forget to sign up for the Running to Write monthly newsletter for regular updates on my story musings, pitfalls, and lessons learned. The link is in the description below. I also have goodies available in Ko-fi, as well as running and writing swag through Teespring. So check it out if you're interested, or if you're looking to get a unique holiday gift for the writer in your life. See you next time. Until then, write a scene to make us hungry.